Nabil Shahin, Managing Director at Air Conditioning, Heating and Refrigeration Institute MENA, who has around 3 decades of experience in the HVAC industry. He has held various technical and commercial leadership roles, including serving as Director of Engineering for several global HVAC companies. His expertise spans product research and development, design, testing, and manufacturing. He is well versed in international HVAC regulations and standards across the US, Europe, and the MENA regions, maintaining direct relationship with regulatory bodies and government agencies. He holds a master's degree in mechanical engineering from Tennessee State University, USA. Today he will talk on analyzing global climate regulation and their impact on the HVAC industry. So without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Nabil Shahin.
Everyone, glad to be here. It's my pleasure to be with with the panelists and you. All right, so I'm going to focus mainly on the HVAC industry, heating, ventilation, air conditioning. As you all know, AHRI is a manufacturing association. We represent manufacturers of HVAC and water heating industry. We are also a standards organization. We create standards and certification programs. So if we look at the global climate zones, we have multiple climate zones all over the world. And if we look at AHRI 169, it's divided into 19 climate zones. If we look at India, we can see a vast variation of climates. So which a lot of it is also in the summertime is hot and requires cooling, and also in the north requires heating. So today, since India doesn't have a big penetration in the residential sector in terms of heating and air conditioning, I think it's less than 10%. Today, I think, according to the International Energy Agency, there are about 36 million units installed in India based on 2024 figures. But that number is going to go up to over 1,144 million in 2050. So giving the economical boom in India, the new generation, changing a lot of factors is going to require or is going to have that market growth tremendously by 2050. So we're going to see a lot of air conditions installed in the future. And if we look even now, when the temperature rises in India, we can see additional electricity consumption, which is directly related to that, which means that since India uses fossil fuel to generate electricity, this was going to produce a lot of CO2 carbon. So this is one key area to reduce carbon emission. Although India has one of the lowest, carbon emission per capita because of the population, as a country, it still has a large number of the carbon emission in the world. And this is the distribution of energy, of electricity consumption in India. So industry right now takes the biggest portion of it. Transportation, residential, as we mentioned earlier, is going to be growing tremendously because we're going to be cooling residential building as well as commercial buildings. So are we on the right track in terms of reducing energy consumptions from HVAC equipment? If this is just without going through the details, just to explain quickly, if we continue the same route without, without improving minimum energy performance standards by the government, it's going to continue to affect our emission of CO2. So we need to start taking measures now to reduce the minimum energy performance standards, improve it tremendously. So if we look at another interesting International Energy Agency graph, most of the world, as you can see, has the red dot represents the government's minimum energy efficiency requirements in that country. And the green is the maximum energy efficiency requirement available as a technology. And the bar is the average that's sold in the market. Unfortunately, I don't have India, but I can give an example of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, basically, let me go back down. Oh, sorry, I have India. India, the average used in the market is very close to the minimum of the government. So, which means that we need to raise that bar by educating people about energy efficiency, the importance of energy efficiency, or by having the government raise the red dot, higher, So it forces the consumers and the end users to use higher energy efficiency because it's available in the market, but it's not being used. We're all aware of all the challenges, as I mentioned earlier, decarbonization, electricity and water shortage, climate changes. So these are all affecting our industry, and that's why the United Nations meets annually under different forums. The most, famous one is the COP. The COP 29 was recently held in Baku, and this is where the global warming limits came up, from the Paris Agreement, the Kigali Amendment, which also talks about refrigerant transition. So there are a lot of agreements that's affecting the industry. And what it means to the HVAC industry is mainly two things. We have to go through the refrigerant transition, and we have to increase energy efficiency. So going through the refrigerant transition, we have also timelines that the countries have to commit to. India, being a developed country, has a later date to comply, but soon we have to start switching from basically hydrofluorocarbon HFC to HFOs or natural refrigerants that has lower global warming potential rating on those refrigerants. So India soon has to start freezing the manufacturing of equipment that uses HFCs or refrigerants that are not environmentally friendly to refrigerants that are more environmentally friendly. They have to reduce the consumption by, it's not a phase out this time, it's a phase down to 20% or 80% phase down. So you can only use 20% for replacement and for existing units. And it can start gradually starting in 2028, 29. So soon we will be seeing a shift in India in refrigerants in the industry. And the refrigerant transition is going to, affect many things. We're complying with the Kigali Amendment. The manufacturers have to do refrigerant research and testing to, create units that are suitable for the Indian environment and the hot environment. We have to train the technicians to be able to handle these type of equipments. We also have to change building codes and standards to accommodate these refrigerants because a lot of them are flammable. So we have to change transportation code, warehousing code, safety codes, and many codes in the country to accommodate those refrigerants. And we also have to focus on recapturing and recycling refrigerants because 60% of the refrigerant that's sold in the market today goes to replenish units that has leaked. Only 40% are going into new equipments that are manufactured. So training technicians is very important on how to recapture and reuse the refrigerants that goes into the atmosphere and affects global warming. For that, the AHRI worked with the UN to create a refrigerant driver's license program that trains basically technicians on how to handle the new refrigerants, especially the flammable refrigerants. And this is available for free for any for countries, end users, developers, manufacturers, anybody that is interested. Please let us know. We'll guide you in the right direction. So as I mentioned before, this is the things that we have to change to accommodate the refrigerants in any given country. And on carbon emissions, we have also for the industry, we're going to be seeing changes in terms of building has to basically be measured in terms of its carbon footprint. So there are currently ASHRAE 228, which is a method to evaluate net zero energy carbon building performance. But ASHRAE is working on a brand new standard that's also going to evaluate greenhouse gas and carbon emission in building design, construction, and operation. And AHRI is creating a standard also that will measure carbon emission of each HVAC equipment specifically. And it will be like a food label that will be attached to the unit that will show how much carbon emission and other harmful substances that the equipment will emit, like not just carbon, but other things. And also ASHRAE 189 and 240 will require this, what we call EPD declaration by 2026 in the US, and the rest of the world will follow. So to change these standards, it has a cooperation between authorities and manufacturing. We need to make sure that the technology is available to support these, higher level of energy efficiency. And so it's a cooperation. That's why AHRI and the manufacturing bodies work together with us to, help authorities, end users to adopt and use new technology that has higher efficiency, which will ultimately, affect, the consumption of many areas in terms of, not just air conditioning, but other things, appliances, and raise the bar for everyone. This is a quick just list of the energy saving technologies that are available today. My two favorite ones is geothermal and radiant cooling. These are things that can be used today by consultants. So my advice usually to the consultants and MEP consultants specifically is to get out of their comfort zone and start using new technology that will improve building efficiency. There are a lot available out there. It may sound like it costs more initially, but on the long run, it's going to save money for the building owners and for everyone. This is it for me. Thank you very much. I'll hand it over back to you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your insights